Hello friends and fellow gamers, MKxJUMP here, and this week we have a new Heroic Summons event in Idle Heroes that gives Luna a Transcendence form. So we're going to be talking a little bit about her, but a dedicated video towards her skills will be coming out over the weekend, so subscribe if you want to catch that. More importantly, this week's event releases a brand new kind of artifact that you can pick up and revolutionizes how artifacts work in this game. It's a little bit scary, but we're going to break down some of it so that you guys have nothing to be afraid of. As well, guys, we're going to be checking a little bit about the whole update and how you can approach this as a free-to-play player or a pay-to-win player, and of course make the most progress on your account. Now before we do that though, let me tell you about Patreon. It's a way you can support my channel financially and in return get yourself access to some perks through our Discord, such as account reviews that we do on a Tuesday. If you want help with your account and your journey through Idle Heroes, go ahead and join our Discord and look for more information about account reviews. If you want to go ahead and join us with Patreon, you can find the link up there in the top corner of the screen, and a shout out goes to this week's new patrons. We have Omaz, we have After20, Michael, and Beebuzz. So thank you guys for your support, and if you want to be like them, consider backing me on Patreon. Anyway, let's go ahead and check out this week's event in Idle Heroes. So, this week is a Heroic Summons event, which means every day for logging in, we're going to get ourselves 3 Heroic Summon Scrolls and 150 gems. Make sure you get these gems, they're always helpful, and scrolls can help you complete this week's event, or maybe you'll want to save them for events in the future. The most important part about this week's event is in the Heroic Summon Circle, you will need to go ahead and select a hero to be your up hero. This hero will be guaranteed to you after 500 Heroic Summon Scrolls and have an increased odds of dropping as well. So go ahead and select the hero you want from here. My advice would be, if you're not sure who to go with, Luna is a pretty good pick, as she's the new hero that's getting transcended, and you will also need copies of her to do the awakening part of this week's event. However, if you're still not sure, a light and dark might be a good choice, such as Carrie or Drake, or someone that you might need copies of on your account. Heck, if you just don't want to do any Heroic Summon Scrolls this week, a really good option is to look for a hero you have a lot of copies of. So for example, I could go with, like, let's say Saja here, or Eloise, of which I have 27 copies. So I could select Eloise, and then if I go to the cool event and the hero lottery, you can see every time I get a copy of that hero, I'll get myself a set 4-star armor. So if I summoned all 27 copies of those Eloises, I would get myself armor 27 times, which I can then use in the blacksmith to help me build and upgrade resonance armor, which is very useful. So if you're not planning on doing any heroic summons, that would be my advice. Now, if we look at this week's event as a whole, you have Palace of Eternity, which allows you to swap any of the 5 heroes you see here for the up hero you selected. That's going to cost you 10 crystals to do that. And to get these crystals, you need them from the Palace of Crystal, where every 400 heroic summon scrolls you do, you will get 5. If you go to the value packages and buy the $100 pack, either with money or starry gems, you will unlock a key, and that key will get you 15 additional of those eternal crystals, which you can then use as well to do the Palace of Eternity. The Soul Awakening session concluded last week, so the rewards and the leaderboards are here for those of you interested. So that will mean a lot of A tiers, B tiers, and potentially even S tiers are going to be flooding onto the market soon, potentially lowering the auction house price, or maybe people are just going to put them on their accounts to use. Either way, if you're a starry gem collector that will potentially be looking to get themselves a nice hero, then this is definitely going to be an opportunistic week for you when these drop later on in a few days. So be on the lookout for the auction house prices and see if you can get yourself a good copy of a hero. Make sure you go ahead and cash in your rewards for the Creamy Avocado Diner. I need to go ahead and do that on my account, for example. I'm probably going to do that later on once I've figured out what I want, but normally I would go with Starspawn Core 6s or Starspawn Core 5s, depending on what you need the most of, and just use Universal Crystals to top up the avocados that you have. That would be my advice here. If you don't have any Universal Crystals, though, you're probably best just getting Heroic Summon Scrolls to help you either this week or within the events to come. Starlight Melody as well was part of last week's event, but because it needed you to consume those avocados, they're giving you 1 extra day to do that, which is nice because, of course, you're going to want to cash these in today. The value packs are here. Of course, we've already looked at the key here, but also this is giving you gems, Heroic Summon Scrolls, and treasure coupons, which makes it a really good value way to pick up treasure coupons and get some gems and Heroic Summon Scrolls in return. This might be attractive if you're planning on going in on this event and you'd like some treasure coupons in the process, but it could be something you could easily skip as well. There's no pressure here, as this is now pretty common for a Heroic Summon event. The Summon prizes this week are getting you a penny copy for 200 scrolls used, along with your usual Prophet Orbs and Heroic Summon Scrolls you get for each of these tiers. 300 gets you the usual 5 Prophet Orbs, 5 Soul Symbols, and 1 Core of Transcendence. 400 scrolls will manage to get you a copy of your selected hero, and 500 is going to get you a core and 15 Glorious Relics. You can do this up to 4 times, meaning 2,000 scrolls can be used to get all of these rewards. And of course, there's a Heroic Exchange event, which is allowing you to use the altar store to get yourself an Azrael for 4,000 and a Seer for 3,000 if they were heroes you wanted. I could totally see people skipping this. They're not really heroes that many accounts would need, but they're there nonetheless. Now, the big part of this week's event is the Ivory Flame, which lets you acquire cosmic helmets, which you can then use in this store to get yourself some pretty nice rewards. First of all, you can get them by using heroic summon scrolls, so every 10 scrolls you use will get you one of these helmets. You can also gain them by spending money, so every dollar that you spend is equivalent to 50 VIP XP, and that will also get you one helmet, so you can get up to 800 from that, so you could spend $800 if you really wanted to. Also, you can awaken a hero in the Soul Temple, that's going to get you 2 of these, and you can get 5-star heroes, which should be very easy for people, and that's going to get you 50. So that's pretty nice. Free-to-play players can expect to get themselves 50 plus however many scrolls they're going to use, so that's worth bearing in mind when it comes to asking yourself whether it's worth going here. Now, I think it potentially could be worth it if you're trying to get yourself some Master's Toolboxes, for example. You can get 150 Master's Toolboxes for 60 of these items. That means you can just get 50 from doing 5 stars, and then you only need to use 100 scrolls, and that's 100 scrolls for 150 Master's Toolboxes. That is a fantastic deal for free-to-play players. If you wanted to bump up to 800, though, you could easily do that, and 800 scrolls would get you 130 points, which you could use to get yourself a sublimation chest. That's another really good entry point for free-to-play players. However, with Anniversary being only 2 months away, my advice would be use 100 scrolls, get yourself some Master's Toolboxes, and call it a day. Save those scrolls for a much bigger event, which will be coming in the future. You'll also notice here there's a new chest. This is called the Origin Artifact Selection Chest and has 3 new artifacts: the Exotic Pistol, the Exotic Shield, and the Exotic Grimoire. They have interesting base stats which double down on their strategies, so attack, holy damage, control immunity, block, damage reduction, and HP, and we have control immunity, energy, and speed. They're nice, but they're not better than the artifacts we already have. In fact, their main use is to go into the blacksmith, into this new area called the mysterious deification workshop, not the defecation workshop, despite those words being extremely similar, and I think that's a very foolish move from TH Games to give us that opportunity. But whilst you're not defecating in the workshop, you will be going ahead and improving your artifacts. So take Antler's Cane, for example. This gives 70% precision, 25% attack, and 60% skill damage. However, if I add the pistol into this and merge it with my Antler's Cane, I will get the Breath of the Forest Spirit, which gives me precision, attack, skill damage, and speed, and that will cost me 100 relics to do this. That enhancement then allows me to go ahead and take that to Splendid in the Almost Workshop if, and I'm not even joking, if you have another load of them. You need 4 copies to make it Splendid like any other artifact. So basically what they've done is added second versions of artifacts which you have to go and upgrade using basically this whole secondary artifact tree. So basically you need 4 more additional artifacts to get these fancy enhanced forms. That may seem ridiculous and crazy pay to win, but actually most of these are not that special. The majority of these are keeping a lot of the base effects from the artifacts they're based on. So take, for example, the Augustus Magic Ball, for example. It still has the reduction of damage received, scaling with your hero's attack. The only difference is when you get attacked, you gain additional reductions and you gain some all damage dealt. So it's a minor buff to each of these artifacts. The most ridiculous one we have here is the Dragon Rui, which gives you additional damage reduction on top of the normal Rui Scepter stats, and they've been enhanced even more. That's more speed than Rui Scepter has ever given. More importantly, it has the ability to also, at the beginning of each battle, enhance your energy by 100 energy with a 50% chance of that happening. So you could, in theory, turn Rui Scepter into an energy artifact, which is very terrifying. For heroes like Jara and Betty, this looks really, really strong, because you gain all the benefits of a Rui Scepter, whilst also having a chance to also give you the ability of an energy artifact too. So this has the potential chance to power creep Elusive Mirror entirely on people like Betty, and I definitely see this probably being the most important of these enhanced artifacts that people will want to go ahead and pick up. If you take a look at Melodic Strings, that's been enhanced too. That now gives us a refresh on its damage bonus at the end of round 4. You regain the damage dealt enhancement. Also, it increases your attack as well, which is pretty cool. So basically, they've made an even better version of Melodic Strings, which doesn't necessarily drop off on its damage because it re-enhances itself. Although the funny thing here with the Antler's Cane one is this buff only lasts for 10 rounds, which is a little interesting. So that's potentially a nerf. And it could be that maybe it's only the all damage reduction that's 10 rounds. Maybe the all damage dealt is increased, so people would need to go ahead and test this. But if it is only 10 rounds for both of these abilities, then actually base Antler's Cane is technically better, because this has no round cap. And also another cool one is Demon Bell has been enhanced as well, where now it heals us and gives us some speed as well as its normal effects. And it also has speed built into the Demon Bell as well, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of these artifacts which are just enhanced versions of what they used to be. And I don't really have a problem with this. I think they're pretty cool, and they're by no means necessary. I think that's the biggest thing with these artifacts, is they will be something that you'll slowly be gaining over time, rather than trying to immediately grab right now. And many of these are just slightly cooler versions, not necessary pickups. It's just these high impact ones like the Dragon Rui that might be the ones we're sought after. This isn't going to replace normal artifacts. You still want to collect these in the traditional order that we mentioned. It's just that when you get to a point where you're fed up of collecting all the artifacts you need, you can then consider going into these sorts of events and picking up these brand new artifact chests. What's then awkward about this is this chest is competing with sublimation. And in almost every single circumstance, no one is going to choose these new artifacts over a sublimation chest. These artifacts aren't going to make us able to beat things we can't already. They just make our lives a little bit easier, whereas sublimation is absolutely essential for upgrading your Transcendence heroes and eventually making them to Destiny. And the same thing happens here. It's now competing with not just sublimation, but also Cores of Origin. And Cores of Origin are absolutely essential for upgrading yourself to Destiny. So free-to-play players, you're absolutely not going to be chasing these new artifacts. It's way more important that you get the Essence Sublimation and the Cores of Origin that you need to improve your heroes to eventually think about making them Destiny when you have 7 or 8 Transcendence heroes later on your account. For the time being, absolutely just prioritize sublimation, and honestly, I just forget that this update exists. As well, we also have a Transcendence fight, which is allowing you to gain benefits from having a Luna engage in a battle with any of these other Transcendence heroes. So for Natalia, you're going to get Elite Hero Shards. For Betty, more Elite Hero Shards. For Spirit Gaggy, you're going to get yourself Dark Shards. For Yorm Tum, it's going to be Light Shards. And if you can get a fight with Cosmic Enforcer Luna and Interstellar Huntress Patricia, you'll get 5 Cores of Transcendence, which is the most important one. And if you have your own Cosmic Enforcer Luna, you can use her to get a 5-star imminent hero chest as well. And if you manage to do a fight with all of these Transcendence heroes listed at the top, you'll get 100 glorious relics. What's important about this then is that you find someone on your friends list who has all of these heroes to get you those rewards. Join our Discord. I know that my moderator, Talking Scribe, is allowing people to add him, and he has all of these Transcendence heroes on his account so that you can go attack that account on your friends list and gain all of these benefits, no problem. So join our Discord, ask for Scribe, and you should hopefully be able to get those rewards on your account. You will see a channel and specific instructions to make that happen, so it shouldn't be difficult at all. Next up, we also have an Awakening event where you have to specifically awaken copies of Luna, and depending on the Awakening tier, you will get points, and depending on those points, you will get yourself prizes. You can see here we have a Mysterious Artifact Selection chest that contains every artifact up to Elusive Mirror, so no Auspicious Lucky Cat in here at all, but you can pick yourself up something nice, potentially, if you wanted to awaken a Lunas. I think most people will just save their Contract Starry Gems, though, and this is only really worth it if you're planning on getting more rewards from this event by trying to get as many Cosmic Helmets as you can by awakening heroes 25 times. Most people won't be doing that unless they plan on maxing the event. And finally, we have a Star Relay package, and this is allowing you to buy some pretty cool stuff. What we see here, which is pretty unique in my opinion, is the fact that Cosmic Helmets are in here too. Now, normally you're going to get Cosmic Helmets anyway for spending, but you're getting double that. So you get 5 Cosmic Helmets here for $5, but you get an additional 5 for spending $5. So that's really nice. This relay comes to a total of $97 in total, but will get you 100 Cosmic Helmets. So in total, if you spend the $97 to get this relay, you'll get 197 of these Cosmic Helmets in return, which you can then use, of course, in conjunction with Heroic Summon Scrolls and summoning 5-star heroes to get yourself some nice rewards. On top of that, we've also got Cores of Transcendence in here, Crystals of Transcendence, there's Stellar Shards as well, tons and tons of cores, we've got treasure coupons in here as well, and the relay really does look pretty fantastic, as there's lots and lots of good rewards in here that you can go and pick up. And the cores, there's so many cores, oh my goodness me, it's ridiculous. So there's gems, cores, all sorts of stuff, which makes this really nice if you're just trying to get yourself a good amount of Stellar Shards and you want to go ahead and try and get your hands on the new item if you want to go ahead and pick up these artifacts, or you can just spend and use that as a way to get yourself some more sublimation, because of course you can just get yourself 2 sublimation chests for buying the relay, which makes that relay actually pretty solid value. Or you could even consider these higher up rewards, and maybe you just want to get yourself some Destiny materials instead, which makes it a pretty solid $100 to spend in my opinion. So yeah, there's several ways you can go about entering into this event, and some of you may want to use a ton of Heroic Summon Scrolls, especially free-to-play players. You could use 100 for the Master's Toolboxes, 800 to get some sublimation. Combine that with all the different stuff. Maybe you want to do some Awakening, maybe you want to spend a bit of money here and there. And in total, I'm sure you'll find ways to get yourself a good number of sublimation chests if that's something you want. But do bear in mind, Anniversary is only 2 months away, so make sure you've saved up a good number of heroic summon scrolls to get rewards from that. It will be very similar to this event, so I'm expecting free-to-play players will only need around 800 to 1,000 scrolls to get the base level rewards, but many people will want to probably save 2,000 if they have the intention of maxing Anniversary or getting more rewards from it than usual. So do be mindful that you will be needing gems and scrolls for Anniversary when it comes, and it might be worth getting that heroic summon scroll number higher up this week rather than using them all in this week's event, as there's nothing really special about this week. It is just a very standard Transcendence event, and the rewards are exactly what we would normally expect. The only change here is this new artifact chest, and I think these are going to be more frequently available in events to come. They have to be to make these artifacts worth grabbing, because you can only theoretically get 4 of these this week, which means people will only be building 1 of the new artifacts. And I think most people that do that will either be going for the enhanced version of Golden Crown, which looks really, really good as this gives normal damage reduction and resets. Maybe they'll go for the enhanced version of Melodic Strings, as that's giving more attack and you're resetting the effect as well to keep that damage pressure up, or they'll be going for the Dragon Rui, because this Rui Scepter is just a way better version of Rui Scepter and offers Betty the potential chance to have a lot of crowd control. Now, one side note about Betty, which has happened, and I don't know if this is just a bug that the devs will patch, but it's definitely something I need to mention today with this update, is Betty has been nerfed. Betty's passive 2 is not triggering properly at the moment, which means it is not triggering her active skill when she has 100 or more energy for the first time in a round. People are trying this with Elusive Mirror or even normal artifacts that don't give energy. They're trying Energy Feed, and all of this testing has resulted in the fact that Betty is not using her active when she gets over 100 energy. Even with an Ignis dying and energy feeding her, it is not triggering this passive, rendering Betty pretty useless at the moment, because that's what makes Betty good, is that she can trigger her active skill, interrupting opponents' attacks, because when you are hit by an opponent, you gain 10 energy. And if that 10 energy takes you above 100 energy for the first time in a round, that will then trigger her active skill, which if you have her core, will then trigger twice and have an enhanced chance of crowd controlling opponents, which makes her really reliable at crowd controlling opponents, no matter how fast or slow she is. So right now, because that passive 2 isn't working, you may find your Betty not functioning properly, and therefore you might find you're struggling in a lot of game modes where you were relying on Betty to do well. Particularly Void Campaign and Overseer in the Void Vortex are really going to suffer from this bug. Hopefully the devs will patch it soon. I'll keep you guys updated, but right now Betty is broken and not working properly, sending her from being one of the best heroes in the game to right now borderline useless. Does that mean you should get rid of your Betty? No, the devs will hopefully patch this. The best thing you can actually do is just report this bug to the devs so that they can fix it quickly, because whilst this exists in the game, it's going to make a lot of your Bettys unplayable, which is not ideal. Finally, we need to take a look at next week's event. We've got Fantasy Factory, that looks pretty good. We've got Prophet Orbs, which is giving Geista as a top reward, and Heroic Miracle giving Luna. Not ideal event, but it's a pretty quiet one, and heck, they might even add some extra bonus stuff in next week, so hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss next week's event review, as I do these every Friday. And also importantly, guys, in a future upload, I will be talking to you about Cosmic Enforcer Luna's abilities, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that. Her attacks are absolutely devastating, and one of her attacks is capped at 10,000% of her base damage, and she does that in many, many different forms. Even here in her Destiny Transition skill, caps at 10,000 potential damage, and she's doing a lot of damage to a single target, so in theory, she could rival Aspen as a boss killer. And one thing I will say is she has abilities that are very similar to Drake's, in that she can strip away an opponent's defenses. So this hero could be the next big thing to change the meta and adjust how people approach boss fights like Star Expedition. So if you're interested in learning more about her, hit that subscribe button, as well as I will be doing a full breakdown of the astronomical essay we have written for all her skills, and hopefully making it in a way that you can understand and decide whether Cosmic Enforcer Luna is a hero for you. Either way, it's goodbye from me, and hopefully thanks to this video you've learned how to approach this week's event if you want to go in on it, or whether you're going to save, and now you know about these new artifacts which have been added to the game, and that potential bug from Betty, which is not ideal. Either way, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in, have an amazing week, and let me know what you're doing in this week's event in the comments section below. Until next time, have a great time, and of course, happy idling.